Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by with MW3 Warzone now here. Of course, we're all jumping in. We are experiencing Urzikstan in this sort of new lighting and environment for the first time. Obviously, if you played zombies from MW3, the map is familiar, but definitely a new world, a new experience there. And of course, all the MW3 weapons and movement and everything. And today, I wanted to give you guys my initial top 5 best setups and best loadouts you want to be running in game. Obviously, a lot's changed with these, with some of the new perks being added in, overkill being a default option now. So lots to break down as we get into the setups. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It would be really appreciated. And of course, if you're new here or if you're a part of the 50% of viewers watching who are not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, meta breakdowns. Quite literally everything going on in KATT is right here, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. So before we jump into the actual weapons themselves, let's briefly talk perks and equipment, because this is going to be the same for all the setups here today. As mentioned, overkill is default, so you can see I got a primary and a secondary weapon right away that are both actually primaries. You don't have to use a perk or anything on this time around, which is awesome. Now initially here for the tactical, I gotta go to the stims. You do get this nice little speed boost. It's temporary and nothing like it was back in Warzone 1, but it's still there and pretty clutch in certain situations here, especially close range. Stims are phenomenal. That said, right now smokes are also really good for movement as well. So between stims and smokes, in my opinion, you can't really go wrong. For lethals, you also got plenty of choices. I've been messing around with breacher drones, and they're actually pretty solid if you have high ground, which you can get a lot of on this map. But if you don't, if you're on an even level or they have the high ground, they're kind of rough. So in that case, you know, Semtexes are going to be great, obviously. And of course, if you want to insta finish, you go for the throwing knives. No brainer there. But you certainly have some choices there between those clear standouts for sure. Then as far as the perks go, for my custom perk package, currently, this is what I've got going on. In perk 1, I'm running double time. It increases that tac sprint duration and reduces the refresh. That's obviously clutch. Sleight of hand as well for that faster reload. Although there are some other good choices here. It's pretty tough to choose. EOD is obviously going to be a great choice. Battle hardened as well could be very good too, or shrapnel if you're using a lot of explosives. But really, to me, that faster reload, especially with a lot of these guns getting back in that fight, is pretty clutch. So that's what I've been running so far for that. Perk 3 here, or really what is perk 2 is the initial tier, is going to be tempered for me. Really, this and resupply are the main two that stand out. Stalker could be good depending on what your weapon builds are. You can get a lot of good movement out of ADS, speed, and strafe and whatnot there, so you don't always have to use the perk. But tempered, just 2 plates instead of 3, obviously faster to plate up and get full health. That's clutch. Then lastly, bird's eye. I think the obvious options here are high alert, bird's eye, and ghost, and bird's eye counters ghost at all times. So that to me kind of speaks for itself. You're gonna get those solid dots on the minimap, be able to see players all over the place with their actual HUD and where they're looking and whatnot. So that's super clutch and obviously very powerful. Like I said, the perks stay the same on every single class setup. Let's get into the actual weapons here. So first up, I've got the MCW and the Rival 9 combined. Pretty standard rifle and SMG, and each of these are so easy to use. So initially here for the MCW, or the ACR as it really is, I'm starting off with the Eagle Eye Optic 2.5 times. This reminds me a lot of like the Axial Arms 3 times from Cold War Warzone, or even the VLK 3 times from MW 2019 and OG Warzone. It's super low visual recoil, decent zoom. It just is a solid optic here. There are some other good lower zoom optics as well. Obviously, something like the Monocle would be decent here. META-V4 is still an option if you want to run that. The reflector or the Elo sights, another one of my personal favorites. NIDAR is great. The slate reflector as well. So many choices here. As always with optics, these are entirely personal preference, so use whichever one you enjoy the most. It's Warzone. We got a ton of health. The TTK is pretty slow right now, so you want to have more ammo. 40 even doesn't cut it in some situations. For me, 60 is the go-to, especially if you're playing trios or quads a lot. You're gonna need all that ammo for sure, so of course I'm running the extended mag there. I've also got the choke angled grip. This one's pretty solid because it's helping out with movement speed and horizontal control. It does end up hurting your vertical, but only by 1.4%. And we get that back just by being decent enough at recoil control, but other attachments can help out here too. And you're getting movement speed out of this as well, which is super nice. Now I go for the Spitfire suppressor. This is definitely one of the better options in the game. This does hurt your ADS speed by about 18% in this case, which is significant, but you're also not using this in situations where ADS speed is dire. That's close range. This is mid to long range, and this gives you better velocity, better control, and better range. That's a super solid option there. That said, Shadow Strike is available on basically everything, so if you don't want any ADS penalties or any range penalties, you just want to stay off the minimap, Shadow Strike is simply a suppressor just for that. So that's a really good choice too. And then lastly here, I go for the Cyclone Long Barrel. This is going to help out with velocity as well as range. So you're just going to be better and more efficient over long range. Unfortunately, we don't really have a barrel here that's going to help out directly with control and velocity and range, but this gets the job done just fine. It makes this even more lethal and dominant over the mid to long range. It's also one of the easiest weapons to use, maybe the single easiest weapon to use in the game. So while the TTK might not be crazy broken, crazy fast, because you're so accurate with it, you're gonna fry. And then for the rival, this is a fantastic close range option here. Obviously gonna work great for buildings, for the movement, and bridging the gap between you and enemies here and there. I am using the Shadow Strike in this case, mainly because the recoil here, not really all that difficult. Clean iron sight, so you can get away with using the suppressor with no pros and no cons other than staying off the map. Now, if you wanted to go for a heavier suppressor, you could, but it might hurt your control. It might hurt your movement in other cases. So just keep that in mind. To me, Shadow Strike is a nice way to guarantee you don't have to be on the radar, but you also don't necessarily lose things elsewhere. I go for the Edge BW4 hand stop. This helps out with general movement speed. Nothing in terms of control. Like I said, I find this to be pretty easy to use, especially in close range fights. I do upgrade to the 40 round mag here. You could try getting by with 30 and, maybe going for a laser for a snappier ADS, or if you need an optic, go for that. But to me, 40 works just fine for trios and quads. You could even upgrade to 50 if you wanted to. It's not a huge difference in penalties there, but 50 is a little bit slower. So just keep that in mind if you want to upgrade to that. I do go for the Vice Assault Rear Grip. This helps out with recoil control. It only hurts sway, and that's irrelevant in the situations we're going to be using this in. Then I go for the FA Tactical Stock. This helps out with general movement here. It does hurt your recoil a bit, but we kind of gained that back with the Vice Grip already. And like I said, pretty easy pattern here. So for close range fights, this is going to be fantastic. Now, Loadout 2 is actually my sniper loadout, and the KATT is the one sniper that's got that one-shot capability no matter what you're running. So this thing, you can build it out to be a long-distance sniper, you could build it out to be an aggressive sniper, and it can and will one-shot knock if you're hitting those, required parts on the body, depending on what their armor situation is like. But this can get you that full one-hit kill through full armor, and I pair this with the MTZ-556 as a rifle meant for sniper support that's actually pretty aggressive, all things considered. So we'll talk about this one first real quick. I am using the reflector, or the ELO side in this case. Not too huge on the irons, so I do like to have this on there. It works great for close and mid-range fights. 50 round drum, you're going to want on here. This fire rate's pretty fast. 30 runs out very quickly, so having that safety net is definitely much appreciated in a lot of fights. Choke angled grip here yet again because it's helping out with movement and control, so that's perfect for sniper support. The weapon becomes easier to use and more aggressive. You can't ask for much more there. Now, I'm not using a suppressor in this case, mainly because I do want a bit more recoil control on this weapon. There is a bit of side-to-side bounce, and there obviously is vertical because that's on every single gun. So I just want to make this feel a little bit more consistent. I do go for Flash Hider because it helps out with vertical and horizontal alongside basic gun kick, and it's only an 8% increase in ADS speed. That said, if you wanted to use a suppressor, you could. Just note that you're going to be either sacrificing, ADS speed here and there, as some of these do, sprint to fire, strafe speed. Some of them are going to hurt your recoil control, others might hurt your range. So to me, the payoffs there, maybe outside of Shadow Strike, were not really all that worth it, but I did want to have extra control, which obviously Shadow Strike's not doing. So I do go for Flash Hider there. And then I've got the 3.568 barrel. This is an aggressive barrel, better ADS and sprint to fire, and it really doesn't hurt your control all that much. 3%, 3.3%, that's not bad at all. So it keeps it aggressive, keeps it snappy, and doesn't really hinder the weapon all that much. So definitely a solid sniper support option. And then as far as the KATT goes here, I wanted to make this as hit scan like as possible. So that's why I opted for the Sonic Suppressor XL. This is going to give you a 12, almost 13% increase in velocity, which, is pretty solid. Now, there is the Nightfall Suppressor XL, which is a 23% increase, but it's also going to be hurting your ADS speed a ton more. Almost 9% here is the Sonic is not doing anything to that. So I felt like I could get by with the slightly worse velocity for a better and faster option here, because I'd rather not spend half the match just trying to ADS one time. I also go for the Zhang 34 barrel. This helps out with velocity and range yet again, so almost 18% increase to velocity. And then I go for the high grain rounds. This again helps out with 15% velocity. The recoil doesn't really matter and the range doesn't really matter because we're just going for the one shot. So we're trying to just give this the best velocity possible. And you can see we're just over 1,000 on that. So that's pretty solid for a sniper that's going to one hit. It's going to be very easy to, you know, bullet lead and adjust off of that. And then for the rest of the setup, I do go for some speed. I go for the quick bolt, which is just behind the face cam. This helps out with rechambering speed, so you can shoot back to back to back a little bit faster. I just don't like how the KATT feels without this, honestly. And then I go for the lightweight rubberized stock pad which helps out with general movement speed and strafe speed. There are some that help out with ADS speed, but it's also slow when you're running around at this thing, and I kind of like the mobility benefits there, but the tack pad or rubberized are good choices there. So we'll go ahead, hide the face cam real quick if you guys wanted to see the quick bolt on there. If you were taking a screenshot or anything, of course, feel free to do so. By the way, if you are using the screenshots, the builds help you out. Like I said earlier, feel free to drop a like on the video itself. But as far as sniping goes, this is the go-to option. Hey everyone, it's holiday season, and if you're looking for the perfect stocking stuffer or gift this year, look no further than G Fuel. Whether you're trying to treat yourself this holiday season or pick up something for some friends or some family, G Fuel's got you covered with a little bit of something for everyone. Whether you're trying to restock on your favorite flavors, maybe try something new, they got the tubs, the starter kits, even just some straight up shaker cups if you're looking to grab a new one of those. If you want to pick up anything at all from the G Fuel sites, be sure to go ahead and throw in code IMMORTAL at checkout for that nice little discount. Link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested. The Loadout 3, I've got the Bruen, which feels just like MW 2019 in Warzone 1, alongside the Swarm. This thing's just a beast of a super close range gun, really fast, really snappy, really aggressive, and is going to have a quick TTK inside of buildings and super up close, right? As far as the Bruen goes, low recoil, fast TTK, pretty good movement, especially with this build on there for this being an LMG. So I went for the reflector optic here. If you wanted to use the Eagle Eye, if you wanted to use a slate or something else, again, feel free to do so. 60 round mag, dropping this down so it's making it more aggressive, more snappy. Really, it feels like an assault rifle in an LMG's body. We got the choke angled grip yet again, just because it's super solid for wanting to have an aggressive and easy to control build. I've got the Spirit Fire suppressor in this case. This is going to hurt with 12% roughly ADS speed. Again, mid to long range guns aren't really caring all that much about ADS speed, but we get better control for both directions and slightly better velocity, slightly better range. So that's pretty solid overall there. And then I went for the Horizon barrel. This helps out with control and velocity, doesn't do too much for the range, but it's also not killing your movement either. So keeps it easy to use. And of course, that's what matters most over long range. If you can extend that damage range, awesome. But if you're going to miss your shots in that damage range, that's irrelevant. So this keeps it straightforward. It's a laser beam and it's a powerhouse at the same time. And then for the Swarm here, I'm just focused on the close range capabilities here, making it a bit more aggressive. There is a lot of bounce at this thing, especially with the iron sights. So I do go for the pendulum compensator, just like in multiplayer. If you again wanted to use a suppressor, you could try Shadow Strike, but I feel like there might be a bit too much recoil for some players. And then other options here, again, it's kind of the same deal. While you can get better velo here with suppressors, you can't really get a ton of control that's not killing your ADS speed in some cases. So for me, a compensator was worth being on the radar for that. If they want to push me close range, I'll have a gun that can take them out. BW4 hand stop here yet again, same deal as back before. I got the 50 round mag in this case. I went for 50 over 40 because this fire rate's pretty crazy, so that extra 10 bullets is actually pretty meaningful. The Marauder grip is going to help out with some recoil control. It's really only hurting irrelevant things for close range fights. Flinch and sway are not big deals there. Then I go for the factory stock, better movement speed and general strafe speed as well. So just more snappy and more aggressive. Feeling very fun here. And for what it's worth, as I'm going through with everything here, you can mix and match the primaries and the secondaries as you want, maybe with the exception of the KATT and the sniper support. Obviously, certain guns are meant for that specifically. Another fun one here is going to be the Pulemyot 7.62 and actually the ISO 45 from MW2. Yes, we do have some MW2 guns here in the list today. This setup is really not changing all that much from MW2, except for the fact that I did drop a muzzle and I put on an optic. I tried using the iron sights, and I don't know what it is about Warzone 3. You guys know I was always running iron sights on my ISO 9 and my ISO 45 from its inception. Can't do it in this game. The aim, bounce, the shake is just obnoxious as can be for some reason. So I went ahead, threw on the slate reflector, and I was instantly more accurate there. 7 milliwatt laser, obviously helping out with that ADS and sprint to fire, making it more snappy and aggressive. 45 round extended mag, very basic there. Sheer rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire, and the cheetah stock for better sprint speed, strafe speed, and ADS speed. So it's a snappy, aggressive SMG that has a very solid and very competitive TTK up close. And I pair this with the Pulemyot, and this thing is a beast. I love the feel of this thing, probably one of my favorite guns in the game right now. I am using the Jack Annihilator Bullpup kit. This makes this super aggressive and very lightweight feeling for a 100 round mag LMG. So you can actually run and gun with this thing, and its power is insane. I also go for the recoil rear grip, which you'll never guess it, helps with recoil control, so that's nice and convenient there. Eagle Eye 2.5 times on here. Again, any other optic that you prefer more, feel free to go for that. I got the Jack Annihilator long barrel. This helps out with velocity and range alongside that bullpup conversion kit, so obviously just going to make it a bit more lethal where it's aiming to be good at already. And then again, I go for the Spirit Fire suppressor here. Hurts your ADS speed by about 15%, not a huge deal, but better control, better range, and better velocity. Yet again, helping out and optimizing it for where we're going to be using it the most. Such a fun build. And then lastly, oh boy, the DG. Remember back in multiplayer when this was broken on day one? Yeah, it's nuts again. This thing is insane and by far the cause of most of my deaths so far, I would say. I paired this with the Striker, which is just a consistent SMG. You could even use this for sniper support. It feels like it does balance out pretty well in the mid-range versus some other options. It's also super low recoil. Thank you, NVIDIA, for letting me know I could record. Not like I've been doing that already. Initially here, I go for the Shadow Strike. Again, it's so easy to use that I can get by with not needing control or something, and I stay off the radar, which is always nice. I go for the MSP98 hand stop in this case. This only hurts your horizontal control a little bit, but gives you pretty solid movement benefits, and close range horizontal control, not the biggest deal in this case where this gun's very straightforward as is. I do go for the 7 milliwatt laser here, better ADS, better sprint to fire. The 48 round mag as opposed to the stock 30 and 60 seemed like a little bit overkill. This fire rate's not too crazy, although it does look pretty now that I'm seeing it. But 48 does work just fine. And then I go for the MK2 light stock, better movement, better sprint speed. Overall, feeling pretty nice there. It's just a very reliable SMG, not going to kill the fastest, but when you factor in accuracy, it'll be pretty solid and hold its own. And then the DG, like I said, good luck. If you run into this, you're probably going to get two bursted. It's just that crazy. Eagle Eye for the optic here. 60 round drum. You don't have to worry about reloading ever, it seems. You might be able to get away with 40 if you are someone who spam reloads after you fire a few bursts. Just totally up to you there, though. Ripper underbarrel. These ones that help out with sway from MW2 are clutch because on burst weapons or on semi-auto guns, the recentering benefits you get from this is huge. It's going to keep you way more accurate. There are some good MW3 options though, like for instance, the stealth is going to be pretty good. This helps out a lot with sway. Bruen could be good as well. So there certainly are some other choices there. F-tac angled wouldn't be too bad as well. Again, I got Spirit Fire, no surprises here. You could get away with a heavier one if you're okay with, you know, worse ADS speed or potentially other cons there. Also, Shadow Strike would work as well if you wanted to. Then I go for the LS18 barrel, better velocity, better range, better control. Just gonna make it even more lethal, even more dominant, even more consistent. And that's saying something considering how much of a laser beam this thing already is. Probably gonna get nerfed, so I'd enjoy it while it's like this for sure. And that being said, those are the top 5 best loadouts to be running here in Warzone as of right now. Obviously, as we see new meta updates, new things change, new stats, and you know, different other things discovered, maybe some hidden benefits, maybe other broken things. You guys know I'm gonna have you covered with the latest updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns going forward. So feel free to stick it here and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all that. And if you enjoyed the video or you found it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on it on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you later. Peace out.